Hi, I'm Stu from Hive Mind Automation and welcome to the Hive. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at these Govee curtain lights. As always, we'll take a look around the outside of the box, we'll see what's in the box, and we'll get them set up with the native app. In a future video, we might even see if we can get them working with Home Assistant. So while I roll the intro, why don't you take a moment to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified when I release new videos each week. While you're at it, if you like what I do here and you want to help to support the channel, there's some affiliate links to smart home gadgets that you can buy for your own smart home in the video description and support the channel at the same time. Or you can support the channel directly through my Buy Me a Coffee link. Of course, those affiliate links and my Buy Me a Coffee link are all on my website, hivemindautomation.com.au. With all of that out of the way, let's get started. So I've been on a bit of a smart curtain light mission recently to find good smart curtain lights. We recently reviewed the Twinkly 210 RGB plus W curtain light with the LED mapping, allowing us to make shapes with the LEDs, almost like a display. And at the same time, I purchased two other smart curtain lights. This Govee curtain lights kit was $139.99 from Amazon as a Black Friday deal, down from a regular price of $199.99. These prices are all in Australian dollars, by the way. This Govee curtain does feature 520 RGB LEDs, each individually controllable like the Twinkly. With more than double the LEDs for roughly the same price, I do find myself wondering what's the catch. So let's find that out together. Now, in terms of prerequisites, it really doesn't seem like there's that much for these Govee curtain lights. You're going to want to have the Govee app on your phone, and you're going to need a Wi-Fi network to connect them to. Once again, I'm guessing that these are going to connect to a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi like every other smart device on the planet that I've reviewed so far. I don't yet have confirmation of that, as it's not listed anywhere on the box. Speaking of the box, let's take a quick look around the outside of the box. So over on front, Govee curtain lights, dynamic DIY light art canvas, serving suggestion there, and they've cheekily put the Govee logo. Works with Google Home, works with Alexa. On the right hand side, got RGB IC, lighting effects, 62 scene mode, animated GIF, a Christmas tree like that. On the back, Govee curtain lights, model number, power input is 5 volts DC at 5 amps. The length of the light strings is 1.5 meters by 2 meters. The number of lights here is 520. Waterproof light string IP65. The control box is IP65 and the adapter is IP44. Company that built it, their details there. Govee Home app, and there's also the website there. Not intended for illumination, only used for creating ambiance. Dimmable only with the Govee Home app or compatible device only. Trademark information here, some compliance information, UK authorized representative, EU contact, what's in the box, light string, control box, power adapter, and user manual. Some more compliance information there. IP65 waterproof and another serving suggestion. Govee making life smarter. There's not really that much there. So while this video is not a direct comparison to the Twinkly lights that we reviewed previously, I will mention a few things that we've noticed that might be slightly different or the same between the Twinkly and these, and we'll do a proper head-to-head comparison between these curtains in another video. To the unboxing now, and we'll start by lifting the top of the box off the base. We'll mention there were two sticky clear plastic rectangles on the bottom edges that I peeled off prior to shooting the unboxing here. Once the top is off, we have this Govee postcard, a little info card about Govee DreamView, which is their syncing system that does things like TV mirroring, music reactivity, and more. And then we've got a series of smaller boxes inside the main box. The first box here on the right contains some mounting hardware, and I was really surprised that it included mounting hardware. The bag of mounting hardware does include some little screws, a screwdriver, a bag with some plastic clips, and some 3M double-sided VHB tape. In the second smaller box on the right, we've got the power adapter, which includes a weatherproof seal at the bottom to get that IP44 rating. The power adapter is a 5-volt, 5-amp power supply for a total of 25 watts. Lastly, in the large box that's over on the left, we've got the LEDs themselves. Inside this box, we've got a blue booklet with the Govee social media and support contact information, and a QR code on the back to download and install the Govee Home app on your smartphone. And lastly, in here, we've got the user manual, which explains how the mounting clips work, among other things. I'll take the power adapter now and the end of the string, and we'll plug them in to each other and screw the connector down to get that weatherproof seal. So there's everything in the box laid out, with the exception of the paperwork. I am quite impressed at this price point that they do come with mounting hardware. There's a few different types of mounting hardware included, like this 4-pointed hammer-in hook for hammering into plaster, which was easy enough to figure out. But then there were these pieces which it took a moment to figure out. Had I actually read the manual, however, it would have been a lot easier. The basic idea seems to be that you take the two halves of the mount, place the curtain cable in the channel that's cut out of the mount, and then you take one of these little hooks, place it into the groove, and then snap the two halves together, securing them with two of the self-tapping screws. Presumably using the included screwdriver, though if you use your own screwdriver, I won't tell. Then you've got the nice plastic hook to hang the lights from. The inclusion of VHB tape is also nice, but I generally wouldn't recommend putting VHB tape onto a painted surface unless you are already planning to repaint that surface. I will say the build quality, while it's certainly not bad, it does feel ever so slightly cheaper than the Twinkly in some parts. One of the things I feel is maybe not as good is the button on this controller. For example, it doesn't have the over-molded rubber that the Twinkly did, so I'm not entirely sure how it managed to get an IP67 rating. And the packaging also had a couple of things that I thought were a little bit less than ideal, like some molded plastic single-use parts. That said, this curtain I think also made some better choices than the Twinkly, which we'll get to when we set the curtain up. Now, with everything out of the box here, we'll head to the spare room and get it set up. So I was going to do this the hard way, but I'm going to try the easy way instead. So after having a little fun, attempting to shoot that transition and not exactly doing particularly well, we got to work powering up the curtain and turning off the lights so that we can set up the curtain. So that you don't have to, I counted that there are 20 drops, each with 26 LEDs to make up the 520 LED matrix. They are definitely packed in tighter than they are on the Twinkly, and they're also set up as pearls on the string where the cables pass through in a straight line, allowing the curtain to hang straighter and flatter than the Twinkly. After installing and launching the app, hitting allow on all of the privacy prompts, and swiping through the app introduction, and finally accepting the user agreement and privacy policy, we were dropped out to a home screen saying no device found. Click the top right corner to add. We followed that instruction and it detected the curtain as a nearby new device almost immediately. When we then tapped add next to the curtain, it asked for location access, and then it asked us to either sign in or create a new account. I will say I don't love that it waited until we were trying to set up a device to ask us to create our account. I'd have preferred that prompt as soon as we'd opened the app on the home screen, but I'll get over it. So we ended up setting up our account. I won't show you that process. It is very much on Rails, so you should be able to follow along yourself. And then it bounced us straight back to the discovery page where it found the curtains. And this time when tapping add next to the curtain, it established a Bluetooth connection to the controller and began the pairing process immediately. We were prompted to give it a name, but we left it as Smart Curtain Lights. And then we were asked to face the device and check if the orientation was consistent with the picture that we were shown in the app. as in the power adapter going into the string from the left. Now, because that was not the case for us, we then tapped switch direction, and it flipped it around, and then we were able to tap position correct. As soon as we did that, the animation that was already playing on the curtain flipped and started from the bottom left instead of the bottom right. Next, we were prompted to provide Wi-Fi credentials, noting that the device only supports the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi band, so we connected to the HiveMind IoT network, my 2.4 gigahertz only Wi-Fi. It is likely that this works just fine on a dual band network. Your mileage may vary, however. Once connected to Wi-Fi, it did still need to be in Bluetooth range again for some reason, and a firmware update popped up immediately. The new update apparently added support for Razer, presumably the Razer Chroma, much like we saw with the Twinkly. The update took 1 minute and 48 seconds and then plunged us into complete darkness while it rebooted the curtain. It only took about 3 seconds to reboot, and then it bounced us back out to the control menu. We see that there's a bunch of things right on the front page. Effects lab, timers, autoplay, snapshot list, brightness, and then there's 4 modes: music, color, scene, and DIY. The controls were reasonably responsive, although when you're moving the brightness slider, it updates when you release that slider rather than providing live feedback, which can be a little bit jarring. By default, we're in the scene mode, and we've got a bunch of animated scenes grouped into different categories, like natural, festival, which has a bunch of different celebratory animations for Christmas, as well as Halloween, Easter, Valentine's Day, and birthdays, to name a few. There's a life category with this train animation, a funny category with a tic-tac-toe animation and some other retro video game themed animations as well, like Snake, and something resembling Gallagher. There's an animals category where we found a cat using its tail to go fishing, a night scene category with this spacewalk animation, which we thought was pretty cool. There's a decorations category with this code animation that is a cascade of green ones and zeros, much like you might see in The Matrix, although that was more than just binary. And this ripple effect was a little bit hypnotic. When we popped into the DIY section, there's a bunch of animations shared by the community, but you can also tap on the pencil edit button in the top right of this pane to create your own. Tapping the plus symbol in the top right then gives you an opportunity to name your masterpiece, give it an icon and a group, and then when you select effect, you can choose from a number of different options. Without getting into all of them, one that I like to see in here is GIF, and we'll get to that a bit later. When we hit the edit pencil in our canvas section here, we can then change our canvas color from the default white. We can change the relative brightness of the background, and we can edit our patterns using either painting or text. With text, we can choose the text color, whether it's at the top, in the middle, or in the bottom, and our movements and movement speed. A note here is that the text animations seem to be really slow, so you almost want to be 1 or 2 notches just below the full speed on that slider there. So when you're ready to view your masterpiece on the curtain, you can then tap preview this layer, and then you can add additional layers. We can say add another text layer, run it at a different speed, in a different direction, or in a different color. So that's a text effect there. To add a GIF from our photo library, you'll be asked to provide access to your photo library, on iOS at least. And once granted, you'll be able to select from your photo library on your device. We got prompted that the GIF that we chose was too big for the canvas, and it asked if we wanted to either cancel or adjust it. We chose adjust. Now, I will say it didn't do a great job of rendering the GIFs, but it did okay. I did notice that the colors seemed really washed out, but that could also be that we had the brightness all the way up at 100% and might have gotten away with turning it down a little bit to get the desired effect. With this Christmas tree GIF though, you can see that the refresh rate on the curtain is much, much slower than the frame rate of the GIF on the phone. So the animations tend to look a little bit choppy. Again, with these green and red stripes for a Christmas theme, it was very washed out. Again, we probably would have gotten the desired effect by turning the brightness down a bit, but it was still quite choppy. A win for the Govee over the Twinkly, however, is that out of the box, the effects seem to be more complete, especially for festive occasions like Christmas or birthdays. We will be weighing up the pros and cons of each of these curtain lights, both the Twinkly and the Govee, in a future smart curtain light showdown video. Backing out and drilling into the music mode, and it has an interesting option here to sync the lights either from a microphone in the controller, or you can sync audio from the microphone on your phone, which is kind of cool. The sync from the phone, though, is quite limited, with only offering 3 different modes. There's party, dynamic, and calm. Going back to using the microphone in the curtain controller, though, we've got a heap of animations, like this meteor shower, this Christmas night, which seems to be a combination of the meteor shower and the Christmas tree animation. This spectrum option gives us a really nice spectrum analyzer effect. And floating mist produces these expanding squares when it hears a noise. There's also dream color, which produces these random shapes from the center. When we drill into the device settings using the cog in the top right hand corner, we see the device name, which we can change if we like. We've also got an option there to change the direction. We've got device splicing in here. So if you've got more than one of these Govee curtains, you can splice them together and have animations run across multiple curtains as if they were one curtain. We see some Wi-Fi settings in here. There's a user guide, logos to connect to Amazon, Google, and Razer Chroma. This LAN control switch, which I didn't investigate too much, but I suspect that allows us to access a local API. And down the bottom, we've got firmware and hardware version details, the Wi-Fi MAC address, and the product model number. And lastly, down there, we've got a delete device button. Backing out, real quickly, we'll check out the color mode, which really kind of does what it says on the box. It sets the whole curtain to one color. There are some presets in there, and you can also do a cool to warm white and even define custom colors that you like as presets. On the color mode, we also see a finger sketch mode where you can draw on a canvas, select a movement, and tap apply, and it will play your new animation. I won't dig too much into the drawing tools, but it looks like there's plenty there, including some mirroring tools, etc. So that's the Govee curtain lights. They're really similar to the Twinkly curtain lights we reviewed previously in concept, and even in some of the functionality. There's actually some really great features here. As I mentioned before, the LEDs being pearls that sit flat on the string allow the strings to hang with a nice consistency. The relative high density of these LEDs at 520 LEDs versus the 210 from the Twinkly does make for a much better level of detail in animations and custom text effects as well. Speaking of animations, I really like that there's heaps of animations built into the app, and there's no need to go hunting for pixel art GIFs on the internet just to get a decent Christmas animation. GIF animations on the Govee curtain, however, don't seem to have a great refresh rate, but I feel like there's less need for those custom GIFs because of those built-in effects. Having those built-in effects does make the Govee curtain really easy to set up and get good results without spending a whole lot of time getting everything ready just the way you like it. However, without the dynamic mapping function of the Twinkly, these curtain lights are really only going to be able to operate in a planar manner. So wrapping them around a column or a tree probably won't produce quite the same effect. They'll still work and look good, but your animations are probably not going to look the way you want. That said, a planar setup hanging in a window, for example, looks pretty great. In fact, we like this Govee curtain so much, we ended up hanging it in our front window to add a little Christmas cheer to the house. I think that the Govee smart curtain light would make an excellent addition to your Christmas light collection too. And with so many built-in effects, you could reasonably leave them up year round, changing the theme to suit different holidays and events. We're pretty happy with these lights. The MSRP is less expensive than the Twinkly curtain that we previously reviewed, but as I say, they do have a higher pixel density. However, unlike the Twinkly, these are an RGB curtain without the separate white channel. Personally, I tend to prefer a separate white LED channel, but in this case, it's certainly not a deal breaker because we're unlikely to actually use it as a white light. It's certainly not designed to be operated as a functional light. It's very much an ambient effect light. So the white color probably isn't going to be that much of an issue for me. As always, do put your thoughts in the comment section down below. Now in future, I'll be seeing if I can get these Govee curtain lights into Home Assistant. And if I manage to do that, I'll bring you guys along for the ride. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. That is all we have for this video. And I do hope that it helped you in your home automation journey. Be sure to drop a comment below with a home automation idea that you'd like to see me cover in a future video. Don't forget to follow HiveMind Automation on Instagram and Facebook. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up button down below to give it a like. While you're there, if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing now. And if you hit the bell icon, you'll also get notified when I release new videos, which is normally every week. Lastly, if you enjoy what I do here and you want to help support the channel, there's a Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. Any contribution that you make through Buy Me a Coffee does get put towards making more and hopefully better content for you to enjoy. Don't forget to check out my website, hivemindautomation.com.au. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Stu from HiveMind Automation, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.